Hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal and we are live on a Sunday afternoon. So very big welcome to you all. And let me start off for those of you who might be new. DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week. And we're like an extended family and we're all helping each other cope with life, love and other problems, And so welcome. If you've never been here before, feel free to just listen in or watch. Or a lot of people I know just multitask. They put the broadcast on and then they, go about tidying or folding laundry or doing whatever it is. But we welcome you wherever you are. And hi to Jamie and hi to Jody. Jamie, while you're here and while I remember, I do have a request of you. I was wondering whether you would care to give us your input on a weekly basis in terms of things that we can do, maybe healthy swaps that we could do with our food, or maybe stretches or something like that that is important to our general health and all those areas in which you're involved. So let us know if you would like to do that, and I'm certain that we will find a way of connecting us all up so that you can feed that to me on a weekly basis or even a broadcast basis. I don't want to over tax you on that one, but whatever you feel comfortable with. And so while we're here, you can't believe this. I thought I had everything set up for today. And as usual, what I think I have set up and what I actually have set up apparently are 2 completely different things. Do you guys relate to that at all? When you think you're totally set for something and then when reality hits, you find out, no. Hi, Jeannie, I'm glad you're here. I just want to make sure that everybody knows Jeannie now has a phone with a new number. She also has her email back, but it's under the email address. So if any of you are trying to contribute towards gift cards or anything else like that that you would like to send to Jeannie, please let either Jody or myself know. And for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. Let Jody or myself know. And what we will do is we will forward you that contact information so that you can forward whatever gift card or whatever else you need to send to her. For those of you who don't know, Jeannie had a devastating fire at her house and lost, basically her clothes and everything else. She was very... it was amazing, but the good news is she's living it one day at a time and she's learning. Her lesson in life is to receive. Hi, China, good to see you. You actually get to come to a Sunday broadcast on its own. Well, I do want to say that I am extremely apologetic to you all for the fact that I was unable to broadcast on Friday. And just so you know, I'm still not 100%. I've got to be quite honest about that. But I am a lot better. I had a flu, not the flu, not the one that you're all concerned about, but I definitely had a flu of sorts. And, it's just, knocked me down. And it was just really, when I realized on Friday, when I woke up, that there was no way I was going to be able to broadcast. So I gave myself a day off, which I think some of you know is not the easiest thing for me to do at all. And I just said, no, the most important thing I can do now is to take the ibuprofen and go back to bed. And that is actually what I did. And I did get extra sleep and I am feeling a little better. I've still got the headaches and I'm still a bit, weird, but I'm here. Yeah, Jeannie, thank you. And I knew that everybody would understand. I think you all know I do everything within my power to keep up the 3 videos, the 3 broadcasts a week. And so if I can't broadcast, there's normally a pretty good reason for it. But I really wanted to just give a heads up and thank Jonas, who bothered to ask me why, and I thought it was so cute. I was looking at it and suddenly there was this message from Jonas saying, "Are you okay?" It was just like, it wasn't the cutest. I mean, it was just like, so thank you, Jonas. I've got to learn to do that the other way. Hmm. No, there's this way. Oh yeah, it's like this. But I just feel very weird if I do it like that. It's just not good. All right, so DearMamaSal is all about helping you cope with love, life, and other problems, but most of all on a Sunday, it's about calming down a little bit. However, today will be slightly different owing to the fact that I missed a broadcast or 2 broadcasts on Friday. So I really am sorry. And I will do the how to make your own tea lights next week. And I'm hoping that you will enjoy that. I was already had everything going. Under the category of be prepared, not scared, I just wanted to say to you, it'd be a good idea to start using some of that stuff you stocked up on. Did I get a haircut? Yeah, I give myself a haircut about once a month. Jamie, thank you for asking. Do you know how I do it? Have you seen how I do it? It's a very clever system, really. But I chop about an inch off every month. It's amazing how fast it grows. And I've been doing my own haircut for probably a couple of years now, I guess. And it's lovely to have the haircut that I wanted, not the one that the that the hairdresser wanted to give me. She saw me as, a 72-year-old old fart and kept giving me this old fart type haircut. And I'm going, no, it's not the haircut I want. Okay, so under be prepared, not scared, let's start using up some of that stuff we've got in the storeroom now. And what I'm suggesting is, like I've got a huge, great bag of rice in my storeroom, and I'm not even eating rice once a week. So how many of you understand, rather than, I don't know how long rice lasts, but I'm pretty sure somebody out there will know. And if you're watching it on the replay, feel free to let us know as well. It's just like, it is time to start using those things that we stocked up, in as much as now we've got the stock. Now we need to start rotating that stock. That's the next step. And so what have you got a lot of? For those of you who don't know, where back in March, one of the things that I said to the viewers was, to be prepared. This is what's going to happen to the price of stuff. So start stocking up. And I must admit that I've done really well with that. And I'm starting to now just back off a little bit. And now I'm starting to rotate, okay? So just a heads up for anybody, if you have a subject you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to write to me at dearmamasal@gmail.com. And I will, if I think it's something that the viewers will appreciate, I will make sure that I get it to them. Make sure, by the way, that you subscribe here if you like to learn a bit about life and how to cope with it better. But subscribe here, and by the way, click on the bell, and when it says, do you want all the notifications, please say yes, because if I suddenly do an extra broadcast, or if I have an urgent message that I need to get to you, that will get a message to you directly. And you won't have to go anywhere. It will drop it into your mailbox. And that's a really important thing for me. For those of you who aren't regulars, please know that I am on all the sort of usual things under DearMamaSal, on Twitter and everything else. The only place where I'm not just DearMamaSal is on Instagram. And the reason is, when I went to go to Instagram, somebody had already taken my name. And so now, just know that that's under the real DearMamaSal, all one word, on Instagram. The real DearMamaSal. Jody's saying, okay, 4 to 5 years at room temperature, up to 30 years on the freezer. I don't know what I missed there. Up to 30 years in the freezer. What? Me? Rice. Oh, thank you, Jeannie. Yeah, thanks, Jody. 4 to 5 years at room temperature. Really? So I've got 4 to 5 years to use up. Thank you so much. Got it. Okay, thank you. By the way, I have new members of the DearMamaSal Garden to introduce you to if you're interested. The first one is Peter the Pepper. And so, again, just grown in yogurt cups. And he's growing quite nicely. I'm quite happy with it. Any peppers that I grow will have names beginning with P. Is it red, yellow, or green? Yeah, good question. It's a pepper. I'll let you know when if it gets that far. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about just quickly is really, how long have I been growing these lettuces? You know, probably 2 months, and this is how small they are. So this is really not a fun thing for me. You know, I like things a little bit more instantaneous. Now then, what I did do this week was I did do a new experiment, and the new experiment was, you know that I put, hang on a second, everybody. You know that I chopped the bottoms off things. You know, this is, all over my tablet. Not smart, Sal. But you can all relate to that, right? Apparently had water in it. Anyway, I don't know if you can see that, but this is a bottom of celery, and it's growing. But it's just growing in wet paper towel. And what I wanted to say was that because the lettuce is taking so long, I'm going, does not excite me at all. But what does excite me, this is the bottom of some romaine lettuce. And this is how much it grew in a week. And it's growing on a bed of paper towels, right? On a bed of paper towels. And all I do is I put water in the center there, and then I close the lid. And this is how much it grew in a week. That works for me. And I now, just so that you know, I now have, you can see this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will be the 6th one of romaine lettuce that I am growing hydroponically from the bottoms of lettuces I have bought. And the other ones, are doing really well. I don't know if you can see, but I've started to raise them up a bit. And I've actually ordered something off Wish so that I can stack those right up high for the winter. I'm thinking, how do I want to do this in the winter? I'm starting to plan for that, but we'll talk about that later. We're going to talk a little bit about our usual things, but let's just take a moment to think, right? Jeannie, I just want to say if there's anything that you need to update us on, this would be a good, there we are. All right, Jeannie saying the day of the fire, I had just put in my outdoor garden, various kinds of tomatoes plus herbs, rosemary, dill, oregano, lavender. Wow, isn't that beautiful, right? You're obviously an expert at these things, and I'm just learning. Yeah, and I'm sure that you know, sometimes you'll be surprised what actually survives. My rosemary completely made it through the winter, and it went down to -12, and I've got 2 really big, you know, healthy, strong rosemary plants. And also my Italian parsley made it through -12 winter as well. That's centigrade. I'm in Canada, people. You know, I don't talk American too well. Yeah, I think some things will survive, especially if you can get in there and give them a little bit of water, or if God has not given them water. We've had a lot of water this week. Now, I wanted to find out, did any of you notice that the last couple of Soul Sunday thumbnails have been flowers from my garden? This is my first rose in my new place. And yes, I did grow that. And it actually came from my previous house. So I'm very excited to be able to actually start taking pictures of my own flowers and put them up. So Jeannie, I just wanted to make sure if there's anything that you need that we can help you with, you need to talk up and not feel that I don't care what your conditioning is about, you can't get help from other people or whatever that bullshit is. And I've got to say that, I need you to know that we are here to help you do what little we can to help you make your life a little easier. And I really do believe this is your time to learn how to receive. And I'm going to keep reminding you of that. So you will notice, though, the point that I want you to make here is this is the container that my butter lettuce came in. So don't throw these away. The other thing is, in the winter, I'm going to stack them up if necessary, and just see how it works. We'll continue this experiment. As you know, that is what I'm looking for. Can I keep myself in lettuce over the winter without buying too much? Now, I still have the original lettuce that I bought mid-April. It is still giving me lettuce. So, it's like, if you're looking to save money, which that's what the whole point of this is, then, this is something you might want to consider. So, excuse me. All right, so now then, what day is it? First of all, we know it's Pride Month, so any of my viewers anywhere around the world that happens to be part of the Pride community, this is your month, and I hope that people are more understanding and more compassionate than they have ever been. For those of you who don't know, it's also Flag Day in the USA, I believe, and that is just to celebrate the adoption of the first US national flag back in 1777. That's a bit of history for you. It's also Liberation Day in the Falkland Islands, if any of you know that, and Father's Day in South Sudan. Now, some of you are going, wait, Father's Day is next week. Yeah, in North America. But South Sudan, they do it a week earlier, apparently. Jeannie's saying that where they're at the hotel, they have a bag breakfast, but they have to go out for lunch and dinner. Or you could do what, it's interesting. Whenever my brother comes to visit, Jeannie, we got this great system where we go out for a really good lunch. We go out and have a really nice lunch, and then we bring all the leftovers from the lunch. We make sure we have doggy bags, and we bring all the leftovers for lunch, and we either have it for a snack in the evening, this or the day after. But it's amazing with the amount of food that restaurants feed you these days. It's enough for 2 meals easily. So we actually got really good at doing that. And we'd actually sort of go, what do we feel like today? Yeah, we'll have that for a change. And then we also knew, for example, that if we had certain foods, that we'd be hungry pretty quickly. So we'd then go and get dessert or something so that we could top it up. All right. This week's achievements, I wanted to show you because I don't know if any of you know, but I actually did paint some rocks recently, and they did get finished, and they have gone to my neighbor. I don't know if you can see them. So they have got, you probably can't see that, but they have got 2 coats of regular varnish and then 2 coats of engine enamel. So that they can take the heat if necessary. On my achievements this week, and by the way, if any of you've got any achievements, start typing them while I talk. I did a couple of what I call electronic things this week that I have been stalling over. Number one is I installed a new printer. Now, I saw this printer on sale about 4 months ago before I moved, maybe 6 months ago. And it was such a good deal that I bought it, and I never unpacked it because I didn't need to. And however, this week I did need to unpack a printer. So I went and got the printer that I'd had stored. And, it was like a all-in-one printer for like $120 or something when I went to the store, and I went, I'm going to buy that now. Even though I don't need one now, I'm going to buy it now because that's a really good price for an all-in-one printer. And so, it's probably going out of stock or whatever. I don't mind. It's just like $120 for an all-in-one printer. Anyway, so I did put it all together, and that's challenging, right? It takes a long time. When I say to put it all together, but by the time you've got it installed, and then you've got it test to make sure it works, and then this one, has obviously Wi-Fi capability, so I had to make sure that all my devices could talk to it. And then I found out a really neat trick that it had, which is that I can actually be in a totally different country and it's got its own private email. And you can send it an email with an attachment, and it'll print out the attachment. So I need to make sure if ever I leave town, to fill up the trays. But if I want to, I can just directly print it that way. I thought that was really clever. So that was the one thing I installed, and that took me a full day to get all that going. And in fact, maybe a bit longer, because I hit a couple of snags along the way. All right, so Jeannie's saying her achievement was she's been given many tops, and several actually did fit her. Brought one pair of pants, and now I have two. All right, also was given beautiful sneakers, which I was gracious and accepted. Well done, Jeannie, I'm proud of you. Nyasha says, that's what I do too, buy and store away. You never know when it's going to be useful. Yeah. The other thing I bought, and I don't know if any of you have got this, I bought myself a Wi-Fi repeater. And that's because what I noticed was that I am inclined to sit in my washroom and think. I don't know if any of you relate to that, but for some peculiar reason, even though I don't think it should be a problem, but where my Wi-Fi doesn't reach is into my bathroom properly. So I kept answering people in the comments section and doing all sorts of things, and I couldn't understand why they didn't ever show up. And I realized eventually, because I'm slow, that the Wi-Fi doesn't work in the bedroom, in the bathroom. So I'm going, that's not good, because I do a lot of catching up on stuff from there. And so what I did is I actually got hold of a Wi-Fi repeater, and which I must admit I got on Wish because it's quarter of the price. And I managed to get that installed. Now, I don't know if any of you relate to this, but when things are a little bit technical, and especially something that could mess with everything else that I've got set up already, I was hesitant. Do any of you relate to that? It was just like, that looks pretty complicated and the instructions are not good. And I wonder if I'll be able to do that. So I kept reading the instructions, hoping that, miracles would happen and it would make sense. And eventually I just went, I've got to try it now. I think I understand the bits, how it's meant to work. So let me try it. And I must admit, it does work. And I'm very glad that I spent the money. The other thing is I wanted to recommend to you all that, I have an ongoing list of things that I'm trying to do or find or whatever. And it's the ongoing list. And about once every 2 weeks, I go through it and have great fun rubbing out the things I've done with my, erasable ink. I love that stuff because, you can literally go through a to-do list and just erase out the things that you've completed. But one of the things was I knew that somewhere in the house I had some material that I had brought with me old material that I had used for something, but I wanted to start covering up some boxes because they're boxes that I might not get to for quite a while. And now I want to start making um, almost level tables with them and just cover them with material. And I knew that I had found it, and then I put it away carefully. And I had no idea where I put it away carefully, but the good news was I did manage to find it again. So I washed it, and now this week's is to build the reason I like to pack things in banker boxes is that you can actually, make a complete table with them, and just cover them with something, and nobody knows that that's what's underneath there. So I'm very excited about that. Anybody else got any achievements? Just keep typing. All right, so Jeannie says, I'm awful with smartphones and computers, but with help, I got 2 new phones going and reinstated your Facebook and email. Yes, you see, that is the whole thing. I'm amazed that you couldn't reinstate your original email. That does surprise me, because I can, I can, mind you, I'm on Google, on Gmail, so I can just go to my Gmail account on Google and it will download into a new phone. All my Google things will automatically download. But anyway, the main thing is you lost all the passwords. Ah, yeah. Okay, Jeannie, I'm going to teach you a trick on that one. I'm going to teach you a trick on that one. I will write to you. Remind me to write to you about passwords. Okay. So it's just a great way of doing it. So a couple of tips for the week, because we missed doing Friday broadcast. Number one is I love good coffee. But I'm now on a limited budget because I'm retired. And so what I do, and it works, by the way, is I buy whatever coffee happens to be on sale. I don't know if any of you do that. It's like, I'm not that fussy. I don't care if it's, Folgers or Maxwell House or whatever it is. I just buy whatever's on sale. But what I do is I mix in good quality coffee. So if you like, it's like I have a base of coffee, which is regular coffee, and then I add to it good quality coffee. And then it also means that if anybody comes to visit, I can offer them good quality coffees because I have them. But like only once a month do I buy good quality coffee, and maybe even less than that, depending on how many visitors I've had and so forth. But it does work really well, and it does give your coffee a really good taste, and it's unique. Now, some of you will remember my tip about shampoo. When you go into the shower, the thing to do is get the product that's left on your hair off your hair with soft soap, or some sort of regular soap, and then once you've done that, then then use your good shampoo. Now, here's the other thing I found out. I happen to use Head and Shoulders as a shampoo because of dandruff and things like that I was struggling with. But I thought you might like to know what I realized that instead of taking all those wonderful suds that I get when I'm washing my hair, I now use those suds to clean me. Why? I know it's an antibacterial because it's Head and Shoulders. And therefore, and because I'm getting the gunge out with the cheaper soap, I'm getting a lot of good foam. And I just literally take it through my hair, and then I use all that foam to clean me. And it's just like, that's saving me money. And it's antibacterial soap. Niesha saying on achievements, life for me in the last couple of days has been great. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I no longer take insults seriously anymore. and I hope to continue. And you know, Nyasha, you have grown so much. Remember when you said to me, I will never be able to ignore them? And you've learned. I'm so proud of you, as I'm certain everybody is here. By the way, another tip that we found this week is that for those of you who might bake bread and use a sourdough starter, what I found out this week was if you take the starter, and you know how you go there on a daily basis and you take out half and then you refeed the starter. Well, on the days that I don't want to bake bread, instead of, throwing away that half, I found out that you can just lay it on a sheet, a flat baking sheet, and put it in the oven. Don't turn the oven on, and let it dry. And then just break it up, and you have got your own natural yeast. I didn't know that. I've lived a long time, and I didn't know you could do that, but now I do. All right, so Nyasha saying, by constantly listening to podcasts this week, I am now trying to meditate daily. Good. But unfortunately, the therapist that you've been dealing with can no longer assist me. Okay, so, you will keep learning. That's the main thing. As I said to you, the most important thing is to keep learning, Nyasha. And some of us have taken a lifetime to learn these things, so be patient. Jody has found a new trick that saves money. Jody and Lionel like cold brew. And she's got these little like tea bags that you can fill and then seep the cold brew. Did you get them on Amazon, Jody? Just so people know where to look for them, and what are they called? And anyway, so that's what she does. And I was saying that's, so all she does is put the tea bag in a mason jar and just leaves it on the counter, and it will then create a concentrate, and from that they make the iced coffee drinks. Now, the other thing is just send it to me, Jody, after the broadcast, and what I'll do is I'll put up a link for people. The other thing that I do, just so that you know, is I fill a glass full of ice cubes and then I brew coffee and pour it over the top. And then I fill it up with foam, of course, being me. Yeah. So Nyasha, you keep learning. You're so lucky in this day and age. You can learn almost anything you want to for free. That is the most amazing thing of today's technology. Anyway, Jody, it's a really nice trick, and I'm certain people will appreciate it. Under Black Lives Matter, I wanted to just say that it was an interesting topic this week. I challenged myself to talk to my son, Doug. As you know, he's not my biological son, but Doug adopted me as a mother probably 15, 20 years ago. And he is originally from Kenya. And so I decided not to presume that I wasn't racist. I'd like to think that I'm not, but, I didn't want to presume that I'm not. And so what I did is I wrote to Doug and said, in your own, okay, thanks, Jody, perhaps you can just add that to the notes for afterwards so that I can deal with it then. So what I did was I wrote to him and I said, I don't want you to be embarrassed or think you're insulting me or anything else. I genuinely want to know, am I doing anything that in your book is racist? Or even close to being racist? I want to know about it. And so I wondered whether any of you have asked that question, because I was really interested in the answers I got from him. Really interested. The first thing was that he said, no, I wasn't. But then I double checked a couple of things. Okay, number one thing that I have always done is I have always,
here's what I found on the web.
one of the things I've always done is called him, if I'm trying to say, I wonder if you could go and just let Doug know that. And I will describe him as you'll be able to spot him. He's deeply suntanned because he's black, right? So, and I said to him, that is not offensive to you in any way. And he said, no, it's descriptive. That's how you describe me so people can find me quickly. And he said, sometimes you'll be able to spot him. He's Kenyan. And he said, sometimes you just say, he's originally from Kenya. Or he said to me, or you will say he's my deeply suntanned son. You'll probably notice him. And I found that interesting because I'd always been concerned about that. And then I said, I talk a lot about how much I value the fact that you have Kenyan heritage. Is that offensive to you at all? And he said, never. And I said, why not? And he said, because you understand the Kenyan heritage. That is why you refer to it so often. You understand the matriarchal, whatever society and the way that systems work in Africa, because you've been there and you've lived it. And so to me, whenever you talk, the way that you do about the fact that I am Kenyan, it is with great reverence and with great respect. And I go, yep, that is true. So what I want you to double check is, have any of you asked anybody whether you are racist? Ask somebody of another culture, color, whatever, whether you are racist in any way. And if not, why not? Because I do challenge you to do that. It's a question. Now, I heard a great quote this week, and that was that, and this was said by, I'm not quite sure who, but they said, you're lucky that what the Black people are looking for is equality, not revenge. And, I thought that was really powerful. But then I got to talking to my friend Marnie about all of this week. And Marnie made an observation that, as usual, rocked me back on my heels. And she said, Sal, imagine if women asked for reparation for all that they have been through, suffered, got held back on. She said, remembering that we are already more than half the world. And if all the women of the world said, it is time for us to get our fair share, she said, can you imagine if we got, maybe we should go for land and money, and all the things that we got held back on for so many years. It's interesting. Jodie's saying, whenever I hear you speak of Doug, I always thought it to be with the utmost respect. Yes, I have incredible respect for him as a human being, but also for his culture. Anyway, so don't you think that's interesting? Women's lives matter. And let's make sure that we maintain that as well. Anyway, as I said, it's always fascinating to talk with Marnie because I always end up in some sort of deep discussion. And that was certainly a good one that we had. Under the heading of believe, there is always a reason. Yeah, Niesha's saying, yes, Sal, because in the Black or colored culture, certain individuals are all about violence. Absolutely. I want to tell you, I tell horror stories about that, Niesha, about my experiences in Africa. I don't want to talk about it on Soul Sunday, but if Jodie could make a note of my experience of Black violence, I will add it on Friday. Okay, so it's believe in reasons. Okay, so I, as you know, have a very curious mind, and I've always wanted a microscope. Have any of you ever wanted a microscope? I mean, I don't mean like my phone. I mean, one that really could do a good job. And I saw one advertised this week, one that would fit my phone, and I thought, oh, that's nice. And it was like only, I think it was under $60. And I'm going, well, I think I could treat myself to that. And then the funny thing was that I tried to buy it online. And so interesting that I tried to put my credit card information in twice and it didn't work. And it said I needed to contact my provider. Well, that sends up red flags for me. Was this a scam or whatever? But anyway, I got hold of my my bank, and they assured me, no, there was nothing wrong with my card, which I knew. And so then I went, I wonder why that happened to me. And they said, wait 24 hours and try again. Maybe their system is just out of whack. And if that doesn't work, then just phone them and see if you can order it online. So anyway, I decided, no, wait a minute. Let me just double check on Wish. You just Wish have that same microphone. Not microphone, microscope. And, because 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be yes. And they did. And it was like $15 instead of 60. So how many of you are going, I don't mind waiting 2 months for that at that price? Thank you. Okay, so Nyasha's saying, yes, Sal, because in the Black and colored culture, certain individuals are all about violence. We know that. Oh, China's saying, yes, Sal, I'm mixed. Mother white, father black. I have to say it's difficult for someone to understand how racism works. Of course, all lives matter. Yes, absolutely. And I am so grateful for the fact that I have lived in so many different cultures in my lifetime that I understand it at a different level, I guess. Actually, Jeannie, it's funny. I for a while was in a relationship with somebody from Maine, and I remember him saying when he came to my neck of the woods, he said, "Wow, there's so many Indians here." And I go, "Yeah." I said, and Chinese and da 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 and so and so. He said, we don't see that in Maine." And I went, "No, we are a very mixed country. We pride ourselves in that, and we don't, and we understand each other's cultures. I think that's very, very important." So anyway, so that was my score on Wish this week. I got myself a microscope, so it probably won't be here until August or something, but once I get it, you're going to be seeing some interesting pictures. All right, now then, under the smile of the day. This was never a problem in my previous house, but the drains in this house are weird. And enough that I have to put a face cloth in the sink while I'm putting my makeup on, because otherwise things fall down the drain, literally. And I was busy cleaning the vanity this week, and because I was cleaning it and rinsing stuff and so forth, I didn't have a plug-in or a face cloth across it, and I accidentally managed to knock over my stud earrings, which are now in the drain trap of my sink. Not all of them, but probably half of them. And I was going, oh, and I went, something? Probably time you got some new ones. And they weren't expensive ones, thank goodness. They were all costume jewelry, but it was just like, look at them all go like that. Now, I also found on Wish, and I'm going to get it. It's got a little extender thing with a grab on it. So I'm going to try that, see if again, they're going to be down there for a for a while, but it was just like, okay, let me think what can I do? Or I've added it to the list for a plumber to deal with if I get a plumber in. That's what I'm inclined to do, is to keep a running list of non-essential things so that when I do need to bring a plumber and I go, while you're here, can you also do this, this, and this? And by the way, the other thing I wanted to give you as a heads up on was what made me smile this week was the fact that you remember I decided to, I still haven't found my original battery charger, but I did buy another one. And I want to tell you, I am so happy that I did, because I did slow charge up my battery on my car, and it's been starting very nicely. Thank you. All right, so China's saying it hurts to try and explain something others will never truly understand, as they have not experienced it, particularly when it's systemic. Yeah. I totally agree with you, China. And that's the interesting thing that Doug talks to me about. He said, when I talk to you about something like this, Sal, I know that you have deep knowledge. You understand both sides of the problem. And I go, well, that's kind of you to say. And he said, no, you've made it a point to study it. And I thanked him for that. Okay, so what did you find an insult, Nyasha? Why would he point out a certain ethnicity? Because I think there is incredibly, I think different ethnicities are fascinating. Do you know what I mean? Because that's why I want to know where people's families are originally from. Number one, because I probably know how to be polite in their language, but also, to me, it's like I have one of my sons is Mexican, one of them is from Kenya, one of them, is from Washington State, as you know, and he's half Japanese, and his wife is Filipino. All those cultures are totally different. And to me, I want to be polite in all those cultures, but that's just who I am. All right, Jeannie's saying I dated a family from a fellow from Sierra Leone. Huh. Um, oh yes, I agree with you, Nyasha. You're talking about the boyfriend who said there are many Indians live here. Yes, yes, and they were, by the way, Indo-Canadian, from India, not native Indians. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was an insult as well. But it's just like, but if you've never lived in that situation, if the culture within Maine is mostly Caucasian, then it would be surprising if you came across and we drove through a predominantly Sikh neighborhood, and it was just like that stunned him. Yeah. Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. And so I think, let us keep an open mind and let's keep talking about it, because hopefully we will all grow if we keep talking about it. And be aware that if anybody starts this conversation up, you go, yeah, imagine if women asked for equality and reparation, because that is another discussion altogether. Before I get on to the quotes for today, I wanted to let you know that we know that it's happy birthday. I don't know anybody in the DearMamaSal family that's got a birthday today, but if you've got one coming up or we missed one, please let us know so we can add it to our list. But it is President Trump's birthday, so happy birthday, President Trump. And he shares his birthday with a couple of interesting people. And I don't know why it made me smile, but let me just tell you. He shares his birthday with Boy George, for those of you who remember the English pop star, and also with Che Guevara of Cuba. I found that interesting. No, Janie's asking whether I found what she had to say was racist. No, I just didn't really understand it. That's why I couldn't carry on the conversation, Jeannie. I'll read it now. Maybe it'll make more sense if I continue, all right? Jeannie said, I dated a fellow from Sierra Leone, very black skin. We went somewhere and he was mistaken for another guy, very light brown. Mistaken because both were not Caucasian. Oh, just the fact that he wasn't white. They mistook him for somebody else. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely didn't find it racist. I just wasn't quite understanding it. But I think as I read it out loud, it made more sense. Yeah. And, but that is what we all need to learn, right? I believe the more questions we ask. And, some people, Jeannie, for example, you live in a state or that has very few black people in it. Therefore, it's a big issue. And other, as I said, in my neck of the woods, we have so many different cultures here that we don't really see it as strongly as other people because it's part of our heritage. We are all immigrants. If we live in North America, we are all immigrants, and we need to remember that, and we come from different reasons. And if you think how racist we were many years ago about the Irish or about the Italians or about whatever, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us all to grow up and be respectful of one another as far as we can. And I'm hoping that some of you agree with it. All right, so let's do, I've got some I got some quotes about slowing down. And the reason I wanted to do that is because this week I was forced to slow down. And I found it really difficult. Do any of you feel guilty when you actually stop and read? Or when you stop and do a hobby? And I just wondered if any of you feel guilty when you do that. Because what I found was that I almost felt guilty for being sick. And that was weird. So how do the rest of you feel? Now, do you feel, Jeannie, with all that's going on in your life, have you taken a day off yet? That's what I wondered. Or are you so busy doing, that you haven't had chance to absolutely rest yet? Because you're still in shock to a large degree. Be interested to hear that. Just want to get to the quotes here. For some reason, I managed to nuke the link. So just bear with me a second, people. Oops. All right, so Jeannie's saying she hasn't really had it. I honestly, Jeannie, I would give yourself 1 day a week where you go, we don't have to do anything today. Right, we can rest 1 day a week. Otherwise, you're going to keep doing. I find that even now, Jeannie, after living in my house for a season, I'm learning now to say, Sal, how about you take a day off? And the day off is about not having to unpack, not having to clean, not having to do anything, and it's very difficult. So here's the first one. Nicholas Sparks said in the last song, strange what being forced to slow down could do to a person. And I wonder if any of you have ever lived a life where you were forced to slow down. I know Jodie had when she got cancer. You know, and I'm pretty sure that others of you, and maybe those of you watching on the replay, can relate to this. When you were forced to slow down, what did you learn? You know, we were talking about the fact that Jeannie's house, you know, being destroyed the way that it was, has put her in a position to need to learn to receive gracefully. And it's not a bad thing. You know, it's not that she is less than because she needs to receive. It is giving people the opportunity to do the things that they love to do, which is to give. And when you can see that that is a piece of very vital knowledge, don't deny people the right to be able to help, because some people get their jollies out of doing that, right? It was said that sometimes I think there are only two instructions we need to follow to develop and deepen our spiritual life. Slow down and let go. Slow down and let go. I thought that was interesting. Jodie's saying that when she got sick, she learned that you cannot pour from an empty cup. Self-care without guilt is important. Yes, I totally agree with that. Interesting. Jeannie's saying, when my home burned down, I realized I might be too complacent. That's interesting, Jeannie. In what way? Because I'm certain we all would like to hear that. Complacent in terms of appreciating what you had, or just let us know what it is for you. Santosh Kalwar said, LSD stands for learning to slow down. That's cute. Self-care without guilt means that, for example, Nyasha, this week I got sick and I decided to take the day and not do the broadcast and wear myself out anymore because I was already too sick to do that. What I did was I took the day and went to bed without guilt. That is looking after me by going to bed because I was sick and without feeling guilty about the fact that I was unable to do the broadcasts. I can apologize for the fact I was unable to do it, but I didn't feel guilty. I knew that the better path was to look after me. So, right. All right. So Jeannie's saying, in terms of being complacent, I had so much and now I have so little. But I have this self to take care of. Yes. Now, you know, and one of the interesting things is you also get to see the things that you really value. And your chances are you will see that you had way too much stuff and you probably won't replace half of it. You will learn to live with far less just by virtue of this. Don't be in a hurry to achieve your dreams. Take a day to play with your kids and relax. Your dreams will still be there tomorrow. It is interesting to me because I cannot tell you over the years how many workaholics I have met. And when I query them on it, they will say, oh, I'm doing it for the family. And I'm going, no, you're not. You know, you're actually not doing this for the family. You're doing it for your ego. Because if you bothered to ask your children, or if you talk to them 30 years from now, they will tell you they didn't remember loving you because you were always missing and never at their school play or never at the soccer match. They will remember the trip to the beach that you missed. They will remember that they got the lead part in the play and you weren't even there. That's what they will remember. Ah, Rinsky. Hi, Rinsky. Good to see you. Said that when my house burned down, I realized how lucky I was that we lost no lives and all the stuff I lost, I didn't need. Yeah. All right. Sorry, Nyasha. That's out of context for me now. So what is it you'd like to have some tips on, just so that I am clear? Yes, Jeannie's saying we were very lucky that we survived. Oh, okay. So Nyasha's saying, I often feel very guilty when I disappoint or cannot do the things others expect of me. Yeah, because you have lived a life of guilt, right? Guilt is a very interesting thing that people. What you haven't done, Nyasha, and what you're in the process of doing, is learning how to defend yourself from those guilt statements. Right, and Jeannie's saying, my mother always taught us that things are just things. It's people that count. Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting. I just had a really interesting conversation with Yvonne. And for those of you who don't know, Yvonne is my best friend of many years now, who who was originally my tenant and then became such a close friend. And I've been wanting to get her a particular rose to commemorate the passing of her father. And because of I've been locked in for so long, I haven't been able to get it. And now my concern is that I am going to try and find it this week. But here's what I did. The conversation I had with her was, if necessary, can I get you a bare root rose, which means it will not flower this year. You will just need to plant it this year and it will flower next year. And, it was funny because a lot of people I couldn't have had that conversation with. And I said, it's very selfish of me because I really do want to get you a magical rose, not just any old rose. And that is my stuff. But if a rose of any color and shape or size is what you want, I can do that. And we had a really nice, real conversation about that. And I think it's very important that people appreciate that, right? That it's different things for different people. And, luckily, Yvonne knows me well enough to know that that was really important to me, that I get her a particular rose. And she said, you keep going till you get what you're happy with. I will be happy with whatever you bring. But she said, I understand that that's important. Right? And I said, yeah, it is important, but only to me. And she said, no, because I love you for who you are. It's also important to me. And I said, okay, fine. As long as you know I'm not being a wuss on this thing. And Rinsky's saying, oh, I'm so glad that your tenant turned into a wonderful friend. Yes, well, 20 years of living together as we did in the same house. I assure you, we had two choices: to become friends. Well, we were friends actually after the first couple of months. It took a while for Yvonne to find out who I really was. She kept thinking I was the slum landlord, and I had to sort of work on her a little bit to let her know I was just a human being trying to do the best for her and for me. And I think, Rinsky, with all due respect, what made the difference was when she lost her job. And she was a single mom with a young child. And I just remember walking down, asking permission to come visit her. And I went down there and I said, we need to have a really serious conversation and you're not going to like it because I know you, you're proud. And she said, what? And I said, you're probably waiting for me to evict you because you've lost your job and you won't be able to pay the rent. Well, here's the deal. I'm not going to evict you and you're staying for as long as it takes until you find a new job. And then we'll work out a plan on how we make up the difference. And she said, but you can't afford not to have the rent. And I said, yes, I can. It won't be easy, but yes, I can. And yes, I will. And we will get through this together. So do me a favor. Don't worry about the roof over your head or the food that you will eat, because I am happy to help feed you as well. And I said, so just know we can do this. That's what life is about. It's helping one another. Well, you know, Rinsky, you are presuming, Rinsky's saying here that that was so kind of you to do that for her. You are presuming that I'm a very noble person. But you know something, Rinsky, if I'm perfectly honest, which I always try and be with you guys, I was also being very selfish. I did not want to lose her as a tenant. I certainly didn't want to throw her out on the street with a young son and no job. So if necessary, I would have brought her upstairs to live with me and rented the apartment for a couple of months. You know, that was plan B. There was no way. No, I don't, you know, Jeannie, as I said, I appreciate the kind words, but, you know, do you understand what I'm saying about I'm not that noble? There was definitely a benefit in it for me as well. Yes, Vrinsky says, yes, I have heard that there is no unselfish good deed. Yeah. Hi, Kimmy. Good to see you. Yeah, and it's, you know, it's really important that you all understand that. It gives me pleasure to do the right thing. I wonder if that makes sense. Yes, Jeannie's saying you understand life and the ups and downs of it. You know, when you get to be 72, you learn a little. Rinsky, this is never a spelling bee being here. It's about communication, and you communicate really well. And yes, she's saying, Sal, it's because you have a genuine heart. You saw her as a person and not as a means of making money, like many landlords do. I cannot tell you how many landlords in my community evict people despite what's going on. Yeah, well, you know, I tell a story. I tell a story about Yvonne that tells it all, I think. I had some people over for dinner one night, and in the middle of it, Yvonne came up from downstairs to hand me the rent check in the days before we did it electronically. And I handed her my, and she said, I'm sorry that it's late. And it was late. And it's so funny. I handed her my ATM card and I said, do me a favor. Could you go and put it in? Because I do need it in the bank and I've got people here. And she took the card and off she went. And she didn't ask me for the PIN because she already knew it. And I remember somebody at the table said, your tenant knows your PIN number of your bank account? And I said, yes, she does. And And he was incensed. And I said, I find it really interesting that you use the word tenant with such disgust. And I said, I honor Yvonne as my tenant, and I trust her with my life. And I said, I certainly trust her with my bank information because she already does my banking. She does my taxes, she does all that sort of thing. And so I don't have an issue with that. And he just rolled his eyes and he was so angry. I said, wait a minute. Just hang on a second. Does your wife have your PIN number? And he said, well, of course she does. And I said, why? You've known her far less time than I've known Yvonne. Well, I'm married to her. I said, so you trust her? Is that what you're saying? Enough said. And so, it's not about tenant. It's about human beings. Some are trustworthy and some are not. By the way, the person who made the comment turned out to be very untrustworthy very soon after that. And I've never spoken to him again since. I thought this was a really nice quote. It said, I spent a lifetime in a garden one afternoon. I spent a lifetime in a garden one afternoon. How many of you have done that? Where you just get carried away with the beauty of the flowers and the colors and the symmetry of it all and just so beautiful. Niasha's saying, Sal, because you have a genuine heart. You saw her as a person and not, yep, sorry, I've read that already. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, I'm your age, and we've learned a bit. Yeah, we have, haven't we? Niasha's saying, and they're being asked by the government not to evict people because of the difficulty of the pandemic, but they threw them out regardless. Yes, some people are always going to do that. Yeah. I'm afraid so, Niasha. That's life, right? Life isn't fair. Life is not fair. Once you get that clear, you learn to value certain things. Definitely learn to value them. Jodie's asking me to make sure I do the countdown, so let's do that quickly. And then I'll get back to a few more quotes. As you can hear, I'm starting to lose my voice again. Can you believe it? It's only 9 months and 23 days until Easter. Isn't that amazing? And even more amazing, it's only 8 months and 1 week until Lent. Valentine's Day is 8 months away. Oh, that's interesting. Kimmy's saying that she mowed the lawn today. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but for Kimmy, it is because she suffers from asthma and allergies and things. So that's wonderful. Yeah, China's saying, what a beautiful quote. Who doesn't love a garden? It's easy to get lost in it. Yes, if you let yourself go, if you learn to just relax and let go, you will love to walk in a garden. It is just 193 days until Christmas, people. We've passed the 200-day mark. We're just into 193 and counting down fast. We have just 5 months and 19 days to get our overseas Christmas cards in the mail. US Thanksgiving is a mere 5 months and 2 weeks away. And we Canadians, ours is only 3 months and 29 days away because we have ours in October. For those of you who do your US taxes, you have a month and a day left, and we are overdue in Canada. It is Father's Day is next week. And I thought I would just mention that in case any of you had did that. And if for any reason Erin gets to hear this particular broadcast, I wanted to make sure that we all know that this will be an extremely difficult Sunday for her to go through, the first Father's Day without her father. as it will be for Yvonne. Interesting. Jeannie is saying that I have been very distrustful because of past experiences. Yeah. She was saying that it took her 5 years to fully change her last name to her husband's. But he was very patient. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, and Yesha's saying, yeah, I'm learning all about this now, right? About life isn't fair. But then she said, and not everyone's going to like you, nor help you, because as you know, I do have a physical labor job uh, with, but have lots of disabilities, and nobody helps you. Yes, nobody's going to help you. All right, if you expect people to help you, you'll be sorely disappointed. Ask Jody, ask anybody who's ever gone through an illness. Be grateful if they do, but don't expect it because it's unlikely to happen. All right, now then. It is the 14th. I just want, for those of you who understand Mercury being in retrograde, it's coming up real fast now, people. It's going to happen on June the 18th, and it's going to go all the way through to July the 12th. So I just know that, if things start going wrong, you can blame it on Mercury in retrograde. And for those of you who've been following my journey, I have now been in the house and owned it for 4 months and 3 days. And I'm still unpacking and probably will be for the rest of my life. But I moved 5 months ago. Isn't it amazing? It is nearly half a year that I moved here, because I moved in January. And there are all sorts of things that I truly love about it. And there are things that I'm not in love with. But it is what it is, and I am learning to adapt myself to this new way of life. And it's all, and that's how I choose to see it, as Jeannie as well. This isn't what I had planned, but it is what I have, and I will deal with it accordingly. And I am enjoying my new hobbies. Yeah, Jody's going, every time you mention when you move, I picture you sweeping the snow with your runners on. Yes, for those of you who don't know, I came in here when the house was empty to set up and everything, and I got snowed in, and I literally was shoveling the driveway, and the only shoes I had were they weren't just regular runners either, they were slip-on runners, and it was so funny. On Flag Day, I love my flag, and I do not want people to destroy it. It's a symbol of our country. Why would people want to destroy the American flag? I don't think it's the American flag that people want to destroy. All right, and Nisha's saying that her loving mother says, even she tries to say, why don't they help you? And now I'm finding myself telling her they don't have to. I'm going to try and be the best at the job, no matter what. There you go. That's the attitude. Yeah, well done. You're definitely on the right track then, Yasha. Jeannie, I don't believe that they're trying to destroy the American flag. That's not what I have. Oh, well, there'll always be some people that would do stupid things like that, but I don't think the majority of Americans want to destroy the American flag. Do you? The flag that I believe that they want to not, the one that they're vilifying is the Confederate flag. which stood for bigotry and slavery. That one, I think, is the one that people are having an issue with. Well, I would say the same thing. I am sure that the ISIS people are saying the same about their flag, that some people equate their flag with prejudice, whereas they don't. So again, I would challenge us all to see it from both sides. I've always said that, it's funny. What makes a terrorist is dependent on which side of the argument you sit. For example, what about the freedom fighters during the war? The resistance people in France, were they terrorists or were they good people because they were doing things against the Nazis? So, again, it depends which side of the situation you sit as to what the picture is. Okay, so Kimmy's saying, I wish I could afford a place so I can stay with Adrian and close to the doctors and hospital. He has to go back now because the doctor has called him to go back in. I am so sorry to hear that, Kim. But, it is what it is. And I am certain that Adrian understands that. Yeah, and Vrinsky's saying that's a good point. How often do we look at the other side? This is the whole thing about being a human and not prejudice. I think if you want to know whether you're prejudiced about something is, can you see it from both sides? I was saying that I've put up a lot of prayers for President Trump recently because regardless of what I think about him as a human being, I do feel sorry for him. And I'm certain that he is totally confused as to what the heck ever happened, that he thought he was doing so well. And then that old adage is, those who rise high will fall low. And so, and the fact, that really must be annoying him is that his approval rating is way lower than Barack Obama's is, and Barack Obama is not even in the race. It's just like, this must be so difficult for him with his ego. And all people are making fun of him around the world, and that cannot be easy. All right, so Kimmy is saying about Adrian. Yes, he does understand, and he stays with our daughter. I came back to take care of our house and the things here. Yes, absolutely. And Kimmy, remember, these are difficult times, all right? We're still dealing with the pandemic. We're still dealing with the risks to Adrian if you are traveling backwards and forwards a whole lot. And yes, you do wish that you could afford a house near the doctors and everything, but that is not your reality. And so, I would keep looking to see if you can find somewhere, sure. But, don't be too upset about what you cannot do. This is all about how do you make the best of the cards you are dealt, right? It's not about a perfect life because none of us have it. None of us have it. It's about, can you do the best with what you've got? And by the way, in terms of gifts, Jody, am I allowed to talk about your story with Amazon, please? Because I think that is a wonderful story. Because what happened was that Jody found out that Amazon accidentally took some money that they weren't meant to. And that was very frustrating and also very unusual. But you see, Everything happens for a reason, people. And so Jody eventually got hold of Amazon, and she got hold of somebody who cared, and she explained what had happened. And then they said, obviously, they immediately credited back the money. But they said, did we understand that what you're trying to do is to buy material because you're making masks for people in your community? And Jody said, yes, that's what I'm doing. And, and also for the, is it the Hoti tribe in New Mexico or wherever it is? Jody will remind me. And, Amazon immediately gave her Hopi tribe. I got that right. And what I was so delighted with is that Amazon decided to actually give her a further credit so she could get more material to carry on doing the good work that she's doing. And so she now has a sponsor for her material for the month. And I said to her, the next time you run out of material, how about you let us know? I'm pretty sure that some of our viewers would be only too happy to help you get more material. Jeannie's saying the pandemic has not helped us. First, the difficulties with our well, then the fire. We wear our masks and have social distancing nevertheless. Yes, we all do. And you know something? My sister is entertaining already, right? Different people will handle this in different ways. But she's, entertaining with one person per table. She's setting up tables 6 feet apart and you each get your own table, which is, fun to do outside. And so, everybody you'll find out what's important to you at this time. So, look at it all. And what if none of it is an accident? What if all of it is exactly what's meant to happen? Jody was upset that Amazon took $45 out of her account, and then she ended up with $45 plus more to get more materials. You see, isn't that wonderful? I was upset because that stupid system wouldn't let me buy that microscope from that particular supplier, only to find out I could buy it at a quarter of the price on Wish. So you see, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe that things happen just by chance. You see, I believe it all happens for a reason. And so when I believe that, that makes me happy. I don't have to sort of be worried about what's happening because whatever's happening is meant to happen. I just have to learn to be flexible with it. And we can be if we keep working on it, which we're doing. All right, everybody. I'm going to go and take some more ibuprofen and try and get the headache to disappear. And then I'm going to take it easy, but I will see you on Friday when I will do the broadcast on how to do the tea lights, and we'll just make another plan. So this is DearMamaSal saying, please remember to look after one another, but most of all, look after yourself. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to take a day to rest, Jeannie. And what I also wanted to say is, remember, just slowing down sometimes is the best thing that you can do for yourself. This is DearMamaSal saying, we'll see you Friday. Bye-bye for now.